Welcome back. Today we are going to do something special. This is the upcoming Simgot EM6L Phoenix. And they're calling this one the Phoenix, and you can kind of see the Phoenix logo right there in the middle. So this one isn't quite out yet. I got it early, and I sent them an email, and I said, when's it coming out? How much is it? And what can I say about it? So short story is coming out in August. I don't have a better date. How much is it? I don't know. That is to be determined. What can I say about it? They said you can do an unboxing and a quick impression. So we will stretch that as far as we can take it. But we'll begin right here with what it looks like up close. And I think this is a metal faceplate, and I think that might be a functional vent. The backside is plastic and not metal, but I don't see a vent back here, so I think there's a good chance that that might be a functional vent. Inside of this guy is one dynamic driver for balanced armatures, and of course this is a QDC connector. So when we look at it side by side with the EA500, you can kind of see that EA500 over here had the recessed 2-pin, and this one is the QDC that sticks out like that. Size-wise, they're not actually all that different. This one has kind of the rounded all-metal build, and this is just a flatter half-and-half build. So very nice looking, very comfortable. I think people who have tried any of their previous, the EW100, the 200, EA500, will have a sense of how this one fits in their ear. So as far as an unboxing, I actually pulled out most of the good stuff out of the box, so there isn't too much left inside the box, but let me see if I could pull this out. So again, there is the Phoenix logo on the inside. On the back side of this, we can actually see how they do the breakout diagram. So there are, that looks like two balanced armatures, but it's 2 and 2. So they're kind of stacked together like that. Dynamic driver, QDC. And of course, there is their target signature, which is on this one, it happens to be based on Harman 2019, as you can see there. So there is the Phoenix on the inside, not a whole lot going on there. You actually do get a case which sits here, and the tips are in there. The rest of it I have actually pulled out. So this is the case that if you have the EA500, I think it was the same exact case. Tips, I think, are actually the same as well. I think this is the same set with the black stem that they've used before, and the cable is kind of interesting. It looks like it's black and gold almost. I think it actually matches the color scheme that they have on the connectors. I think that looking at it in this light, it actually does look more black and gold. When you look at it in just normal sunlight, I think it's maybe a yellowish silver, but yeah, maybe it actually is gold. It's kind of hard to see in regular light. Under this light, it definitely looks goldish, which is quite nice. So let's jump into a quick impression, and I will say kind of as much as I can say before I get in trouble. So you're probably wondering how this stacks up against EA500, and did they take some of the feedback from EA500 and roll it into EM6L? And I think the answer is yes, yes, and yes. So first of all, I think one of the Achilles heels of EA500 was the sub-bass level, right? It's kind of rolled off a bit. People were putting things on vents. People were buying the do-it-yourself mod kit to give you a little more bass, which would pop it pretty much right up there where EM6L is. So yes, I do think that they picked a better sub-bass level for Western music. And I think generally that is just a more appealing level in sub-bass that is going to work better with everything else here. So second thing that was interesting about EA500 was that some people found it fatiguing, shouty, especially if you didn't get the right tips, and this is a bit little light, and it was even lighter in the sub bass. So if this is a bit lighter, this actually sounds a little bit sharper and maybe a little bit more fatiguing. So to push this out just a little bit actually helps quite a bit, makes that a little more easygoing, a little more relaxed if you can peak it out just a little bit beyond 2 into the 3.5 region. So again, I think that was the right move to change that little bit. And if you remember EA500, they sort of had these two peaks here, and then sort of now with EM6L, they basically rounded it off and had a peak later. And again, I think that is just going to be a more easygoing, perhaps that lines up a little closer with what EW200 is, and I think that's why people like that set as well. And then from here, from the upper mids all the way through the upper treble and a very extended upper treble, you have this basically beautiful, almost linear downslope. And depending on how you measure it, this becomes very linear. I'm not sure what they did, but I sort of left it with a certain measurement tip that I did, and it actually gave me a little more, or a little bit wavier pattern. But this is pretty much a line that goes straight from whatever that was, about 3.5, all the way through, to about 17 or 18K. Just a straight downsloping linear line, which is actually very interesting. So smooth this out, maybe clean that up a little bit. That's probably a balanced armature versus dynamic driver treble, the way they did that. But there is something special going on there. I was not sure what it is. But so yes, I do think they listened to a lot of the feedback that they received on EA500 and made some changes. And I think those changes actually are going to be more appealing to a general population of people now. So KZ Krilla in the blue and Simgot EM6L in the red. So why are we talking about Krilla? And I'll say that Krilla and EM6L were going for the same exact target. Not Harman 2019, but the people, all the millions of people who in the past year have purchased Harman 1 dynamic drivers, right? There is a large quantity of people who bought sets like that. Not necessarily the KZs or the Simgots, but generally there were a lot of 1 dynamic driver Harmans. That target is very large for people who are looking for upgrades. And the thing that they're requesting the most is a more technical version of that signature, at, an affordable price. So we love that sound of that 1 dynamic driver Harman, but it needs to be a little more refined, a little sharper, better note definition, better technicalities, better soundstage, imaging, layering, better decay, all of those things that we want to see, just a slight better version of what we bought last year. So welcome to EM6L. That's kind of what exactly they tried to do here. And that's also exactly what I said about Krilla. So Krilla is a 1+1, 1 dynamic driver, 1 balanced armature. Simgot EM6L, 1+4, right? 4 balanced armatures, both doing the same exact style here, a much more technical Harman experience. And that's it. That's why I'm showing Krilla. That's why I'm showing EM6L on the same graph. And also we'll sort of point out all the things that I pointed out that KZ sort of misstepped on. And we'll start here in the base level. So both sets use balanced armatures to get a lot of extension out here into the treble. The problem with doing that is Krilla became very bright. They bumped this up and extended this way out. It's very bright. They didn't really have enough mid bass here to back that up. Same thing, right? So EM6L in red, just give that a couple decibels of body of mid bass. That's what people want. That balances out a lot of this extension here, but they also brought down the extension, the level of treble all the way out there, so you don't have as much brightness to deal with here, so they can get away with only increasing this up 1 or 2 decibels. So yes, very much the right move out here as well. And then when we look into that fatiguing bit that people had on EA500, Krilla is the same way. Krilla kind of leaned right into the balanced armature timbre, right? So it had a less mid bass, which sounded a little thin. It had a very bright treble. And what you heard right about here is a lot of BA. So now when we look at EM6L, a little bit more mid bass, that gives you just a little bit more body, a little bit more natural sounding lower end. They brought down the upper end, so now it is a lot less BA timbre, but you have a ton of extension. And now when you listen to the vocals, you're getting a bit of more mid bass, a little bit more mid bass, a little bit more organic, a little bit more natural. And you're not having to fight a whole lot of BA timbre because they pushed it too far. So right here, you can sort of see this takes on the bits from these two, and it becomes a more natural version of the upper mids. And yeah, I think they sort of nailed a lot of what Krilla misstepped on. They did it very, very well on EM6L. So we'll probably stop there. I think that is quite a bit of things to chew on while we're waiting for EM6L to be released. But yeah, it is a very nice set, and it's going to be the one to beat just because, as I said, they sort of are hitting this gigantic target of a big population of people who liked Harman tuning, who bought a 1 dynamic driver, and they're just looking for a more technical, well-executed version of that. And that's exactly what EM6L is. So Thank you guys again for tuning in, and I will see you next time.